It all started when my dad met my brother's mom and had him. Then my dad met my other brother's mom and had him. And then my dad met my mom and had my brother and I. And then my dad met my other brother's mom and had him. Then my dad met my sister's mom and had her. And then my dad met my other little sister's mom and had her. Isn't she so cute? And then my dad got back with one of my sister's moms and then had my two little brothers. Hi, we're the Carters, and our life is kind of crazy.
The sad thing is, this is not a rare occurrence. This is a common theme in the black community. My father was the same way, except he was a pimp. My father has 20 plus kids, probably has a whole lot more than that. And yes, my father, right here, is a black man. This is another prime example of how these Kangs broke the black community. Of course, they want to blame the black woman for it. They say the black woman chose welfare over them. But the facts remain that these Kangs had so many kids by so many different women, they couldn't be in the house anyway. They created so many broken homes that it was impossible for them to take care of all their kids. So a lot of these women had no choice but to get support where they could. I'm an active father of 6 kids, all by the same woman that I've been married to for 11 years. And it's exhausting. Me and my wife are exhausted taking care of our 6 kids. And this is all in one home. So you can only imagine how exhausting and impossible it is for one man that's fathered that many kids to try to take care of each and every household. These bandits broke the black community. These bandits sold black women a dream, left them barefoot and pregnant, then went on to the next to do the same exact thing. Hell, they wrote songs about it. Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. It was a degenerate bandit culture. And the result is a dysfunction that we have today in the black community. It wasn't black women's fault. It wasn't welfare's fault. It was y'all's fault. The vast amount of fatherless homes y'all created. All over the city, all over the country. And those single mothers you created taught their daughters to avoid you all like the plague. This is the mess y'all created. Own up to it.
What's up, study group? Welcome to Black History Student. I'm your host, Black Butterfly. Today we'll be discussing the difference between black kings and kangs, because in modern society, we aim to uplift black men by referring to them as kings despite not having a kingdom. Now, although kings build, kangs destroy, and the black community is in utter destruction by the hands of these kangs. Now let's talk about a king. A king is a male ruler of a country, state, or territory, in other words, a kingdom, that typically inherits the throne by right of birth. These men are molded to become centered leaders with integrity and a goal of building a rich legacy for their sons to ultimately expand upon. A king rules people that respect and even worship them. Most kings inspire their people by uplifting and encouraging fertility, spirituality, and creativity. A kang, on the other hand, rules a kingdom, which typically consists of trap houses and street corners they push their drugs and gun sales on. These men don't obtain inheritances because their worthless fathers didn't possess anything to leave them prior to abandoning them and their mothers. Unlike kings, kangs aren't taught about manhood, leadership, protecting, or providing to build strong people around them. Instead, they are bred to destroy all people around them, annihilating whole generations through violence and murders. Kangs acquired the skills and behaviors necessary for access to the penitentiary and graveyard. Kings build kingdoms. For instance, the first kingdom in the world was the Kingdom of Kush, which was situated in Nubia, between southern Egypt and northern Sudan. The rulers of this kingdom were black-skinned Africans that founded the world's first city called Axum in the country named Ethiopia, which was the first established country on earth. The city of Napata was the first capital of the Kushite kings, located in Sudan beyond the third cataract of the Nile River. Author Drusilla Dungy Houston wrote a book called Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire, where she details the accomplishments of the kings that ruled Kush. According to Drusilla, she says that the central seat of Ethiopia was a kingdom called Meroe, one of the most powerful cities and metropolis in the ancient world. The first men of the ancient world were referred to as the men of Meru. These great rulers of Ethiopia were the architectural giants of the past. They were the first to build empires and pyramids, erect stupendous edifices, excavate long subterranean passages in the living rock, and form vast lakes that extended over the fallows of adjoining mountains and arches for aqueducts and bridges. The ruling class founded the powerful priest caste, including judges, physicians, astrologers, architects, and more. These priests united within themselves all the highest culture and the most distinguished offices of the land. They were of such significance that they were deified at death. The first laws, prisons, commerce, knowledge of working metals, fine arts, science, alphabetical writing, astronomy, history, mathematics, chronology, architecture, plastic, art, sculpture, navigation, agriculture, and textile industries were established by the Kushites of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is an ancient classical land. In the olden days, its inhabitants were considered the most devout and oldest of mankind. It was the Ethiopian Kushites who were the fountainhead of civilization. From these people arose the oldest traditions and rites and sprang the first colonies and arts of antiquity. The only kingdoms that Kangs have built were those for the white men that subjugated them. Kangs founded nothing except layers of turmoil and dysfunction in black communities. These men are plagued by narcissism and delusion, believing that possessing nothing is synonymous to having everything. Kangs reject their poor decision making, blaming their plight on everyone and everything but themselves, refusing to take accountability for anything.
Black men really believe that the black woman and the pink man are synonymous. They really believe we go hand in hand. Listen to the things they complain about. Read the things they tweet about. It's literally all the same shit. Black women have power in the legal system. They can get help and we can't. They can do this, but we never can. Same shit with the pink man. They get to do all of this and climb the ladder, but we can't do nothing. These are nothing but fucking excuses to sit up here and have to make themselves feel better about not being competent enough to hold themselves accountable so they can progress and move forward in life. Understand, ain't no real man sitting here talking about nothing's holding them back besides themselves. Fuck out of my face with that bullshit.
Big grown hulk, 25, 30 years old, you blaming your mother and your father for your shortcoming? Don't you realize that you are now the master of your destiny? And if you as a grown person want to continue to blame the white man, blame your father, blame your mother, blame the educator. I had a bad teacher. I went to that dumb school over there. I was in reform school. I went to jail. I went to here. Every place you've been is school. And if you learn what you're supposed to learn, you come out of wherever you've been with a determination to become your own master. Is this white man, damnable world that cracker built, that no good peckerwood hunky, and you steam yourself all up? And what have you done? The white man is still ruling, and you still talking about him. And you can't see that if you don't get a grip on you, the white man will be in power tomorrow, the day after, and the day after.
Now let's be clear. There are a significant portion of black men who have built themselves a kingdom comprised of family and associates they provide for and protect. These men are kings in their own right and aim to build a legacy that will benefit generations to come. These kings raise their sons to be men with pride and dignity, and their daughters to be respectable. But this simply isn't the case for the masses of Kangs, who are incapable of providing for or protecting anyone, not even themselves. In several cases, married Kangs force their wives to be the primary breadwinner, providing all the materials necessary for sustenance while they comfortably watch their women struggle. Instead of forming partnerships where they contribute at least equally to the family, Kangs will put all the responsibility on their wives, including paying the bills, raising the children, cooking, cleaning, and giving them all the sex they desire.
Ladies out here getting a job, raising kids, and starting a side hustle just to provide for their kids. And so for me, when I look at that, that's why I say from an opinion standpoint, I think there are more ladies who are out here winning, not because they really want to, but because they have to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we as men are out here creating babies, but we're not providing for our children. And so the ladies are having to step up to the plate while some men are just enjoying life and playing that game.
A king's woman is to do whatever he demands of her, even if his dictations aren't realistically achievable. He mandates that his woman carry the whole world solely on her back, and when she does, he becomes jealous because her abilities make him feel inadequate. Consequently, a king will project his self-hatred onto the woman in hopes of destroying her morale, confidence, and self-esteem. Unfortunately, in most cases, he succeeds.
This is one of the most important things I think about Kevin Samuel. We look at women's struggle as strength. It is one of the reasons why they don't admire their men, is because their men let them carry that burden. Their men are doing that because they see you as being strong, oftentimes like their mother. That happened to me when I was talking to my cousin. She was going through all the scenarios and how she felt overwhelmed. As she's describing these things, in my mind, I'm like, and see, that's what makes you so dope, just like my mom. And while I'm thinking that, she says, and cousin, I'm tired of being the nigga in my relationships. I didn't even know that that's what she was describing. I didn't even know she was complaining. See, that's the beauty of what Kevin Samuel's message was. What we call it is the strong black woman. What he said is that's a masculine woman. He made it a thing that we are not supposed to continue to prop up. Something that we're supposed to say, no, let me step in and be a man for once, instead of being like, oh, what you want me to do? Because when you change the narrative on that concept.
Maintaining the woman means that you have a responsibility to protect her and to protect your children. But guess what? You cannot protect what you cannot control. Sisters, when I use the word control, that makes you upset sometimes because you don't want nobody to control you. But no man can protect what he cannot control. Now, you don't have to be a control freak, because she has a right to rebel against ignorance that masquerades itself in the form of a controller. I gotta set a balance here. Otherwise, after this lecture's over, some nut is going to go home and say, see, I got to control what's going on up in here. A woman will submit to you if you demonstrate the wisdom that allows them to see it, and they submit to it. Then the wisdom is the controlling influence, not you personally. See, truth is above everybody. So you can't say, I'm the boss. I am the boss in this house. Well, wait now. You're supposed to be, but on what basis? It's not your ability to knock your wife around. It must be on the basis of the wisdom that you have for the situations that arise in the relationship.
Kangs view treating women with kindness and gentleness as weakness, and believe that only real men abuse, misuse, and confuse the women they supposedly love. Kings protect their queens and concubines, providing them with all the necessities to live a royal and fulfilled life. However, although most Kangs avoid marriage, some have wives that they possess no loyalty to, habitually cheating with various side chicks. If they aren't married, many of them have multiple women that aren't cognizant of each other. These Kangs spread diseases and breed children with the women, having 2 or more children with each woman. They avoid marriage and support, while proclaiming it's the women's fault for going through with the pregnancies.
No sex, my man. You know, if a girl, she get having a baby, carrying a baby, hey, that's on her. I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
What about birth control? What about condom?
Girls don't like them things. they don't like them things, they'll tell you to take them things off. They figure that you saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
All the women in a king's life are aware of each other and understand their role in the kingdom. Concubines know their place and never attempt to compete with queens. However, a king will have a side chick believing she's more important than his wife, providing her with all the luxuries that a king would give to his queen. A king has enough wealth to support his entire family, including the concubines and their children, allowing the women to dedicate themselves to their personal goals, children, and family.
America, please believe me when I tell you this. This is not all men, but I would say it's about 80% of men. If we don't love your mother, we don't really love you, motherfucker.
Oh, come on now.
That sounds crazy to D.
Well, no.
To me too, here.
Let me tell you something.
Not love in that sense, but have some kind of love.
No. Listen to me. Darlene, you and all the rest of the people who not used to this shit. If we don't love your mother, our love for you is hard to we love you out of obligation.
If it was my
that's how you feel. I think about your kids.
To me, that goes for like stepkid, but not my real.
Look at D, not D rubbing it on me.
Well,
but it is a case like that. Let me tell you, if we don't love your mother, we don't love you like that. What we do, we try to be moral and humane to you little stray fucks that she kept.
That's so sad.
Is your mama gonna tell you about how many? Boy, you made it out that motherfucking Freddy Krueger boiler room of a womb of your mama. Your mama killed so many of your little brothers and sisters fucking with me. She finally had you, and now I'm supposed to stop everything I'm doing in life for your little ass. Get the fuck out of here. Go over there with your mama, and when you grow up, let's try to build a friendship.
However, a king has bitches and hoes that he can't afford because he possesses no money and uses his wife's or main woman's income and materials to entertain side chicks. He'll drive his woman's car to chauffeur another woman around or bring women to the house his woman supports. He has no dignity and love taking risks, despite not having any backup plans in case he gets caught and loses his support system. Kangs will continue this degeneracy until the side chicks leave or have his children, and in this case, he'll then abandon them all.
Housekeeping.
We don't order hot. What you doing here?
What you doing here?
I ain't doing nothing.
You doing something? I know you. You had a nerve to be at a hotel room in the car that I bought you.
Why are you recording?
Don't worry about that. You worry about the wrong thing. You at a hotel in the car that I bought you. A car that's in my name. You gotta be crazy to think ain't no air tag on it. Then you park right in front of the door. How slow are you? And who it is? What you mean who it is? Who are you, sweetie? Who are you? What you doing here with her? What y'all?
This is my coworker.
This your coworker. What y'all doing here?
What you mean your coworker? I'm not your damn coworker. Who is this?
So you lying?
Why you cheating on my sister?
Can you please tell me to stop recording?
No, you worry about the wrong thing. Talk.
I'm trying to talk.
Talk. Talk. Ain't no need of me asking you what you doing here with her.
This is my coworker. She's like,
I'm not your fucking coworker.
You is my coworker.
Who is this?
She wanted.
I'm his wife.
Oh.
I'm his wife. You didn't know that? You didn't know he was married? He didn't tell you that?
We just got married.
It don't matter. We're married. We're married. What you mean? And it's a rose in the bed. So what you doing here? With your coworker? What you were doing here with your coworker?
We were talking about the schedule.
You were talking about a schedule in a room with a rose in a bed? With a female laying in the bed?
You said you was married. I don't do married men.
Don't move it now.
Bro, I went to the store getting some roses. And I just grabbed the wrong one. I ain't know that one do that. Like vibrating stuff.
What?
Went to.
All right, study group. Before I go on, please take a few seconds to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to know when new videos are released or when I go live. This is a significant way to support the channel, so I'd really appreciate it if you go ahead and do that for me. I'll even take a moment of silence to let you do it. Okay, thank you, study group. I really appreciate your support. I really do. Now let's continue. Kings are confident in their sexuality, while many kangs tend to be down low, sleeping with men under the guise of being drunk or inebriated. These kangs spread diseases including HIV to unknowing women under the impression that they're heterosexual. These kangs are ashamed of their sexual orientation and hide behind substances and women while satisfying their homosexual desires.
That's what we came here for, right? I'm Casey. Who the are you? Wait. Why? You got me up. You're Casey? Casey is a man. You're Casey? You're Casey? You mean to tell me? Wait, you're the person that was texting him? Yes. What's you shocked for? This is his wife of 12 years. That's the wife? You down low? That's the type of shit we doing? And you got a fucking son? Are you done? And a daughter. Yo, get him. Nah. Get him. Yo, you have a whole family. You have a whole family. No. Your kid's about to have 2 dads. You're embarrassing. Get the back. You get the You're embarrassing. Go to the kid. Are you gonna leave your ass right here? Hold up. Hey, lost your wife? What you wasted those 10 years for? You ain't getting younger. Yo, look, I got kids, man, with her, bro. It's not that simple. You gotta talk. Look.
Kings are proud of their lineage, especially as black men. They bask in the glory of having children that look like them, mainly their dark, rich, melanated skin. Kangs, on the other hand, hate everything about themselves, especially their blackness, and will do anything possible to disassociate from their black lineage. These kangs will proudly proclaim to prefer any type of woman as long as she has white skin. They have biracial children to rid themselves of their blackness because they don't want to see their own image in their children. Self-hating kings typically gain popularity amongst white crowds. They're the faces we see in the media spewing white supremacist viewpoints, such as Clarence Thomas and Charles Barkley and other kangs that talk their hateful trash while parading their white pride around like a badge of honor. Other kangs dedicate their entire lives fighting for black civil rights, battling against their oppressors both publicly and privately. These activist kangs contribute greatly to highlighting the black plight, in many cases on international platforms, in hopes of liberating black people. And after all of their fighting, they go home to their white women and children, living in their white communities, pretending to be white men. Most renowned black activists are actually kangs, fighting to acquire the white man's freedom so that they can live in peace with the white man's woman. They know that part of the black plight is the breakdown of the black family structure, but despite this, these self-hating kangs only care about what they want and what they need, despite arguing for the black community. Although both kings and kangs are patriarchal, kangs are sexist oppressors that don't respect women, especially those that are independent, and treat them as objects to be possessed. These homosocial men have more love and respect for other men than the women they're with. Kangs view women as worthless chattel property whose sole purpose on earth is to stay sweet, obey, pray, and serve them at will.
Men universally have an ownership mentality towards women. This transcends race, social status, or income. Women are globally seen as something to own or conquer, and her life and body only exists at the behest of men. That's why you wear a ring when you're married, so other men know you belong to a man. Like a slave, brand, or product label. No ring, no owner. But the size and value of the ring determine if that woman can be poached by another man with greater wealth and social status. That's why famous musicians always sing about fucking your wife and sending her back home soiled and used up. See, the thing is, in men's eyes, every woman, especially attractive women, should belong to an owner. That's why marriage, motherhood, and patriarchy is forced upon women, and any woman rebelling against the status quo or bear children without an owner is shamed as undesirable and a blight on society.
Unlike kings who bear as many children as they please to build their empires, Kangs breed and abandon their children to ultimately build empires for funeral homes and prisons. Kangs encourage young boys to be uneducated degenerates who view manhood as wreaking havoc and creating utter chaos in the environments they frequent. They form broken territories of unorganized gangs filled with abandoned and rejected black boys and men with the mentality of scarcity, moral corruption, and indignity. The older Kangs and gangs are mentally ill spirits of depravity that take advantage of young black boys, convincing them to commit crimes they're too weak and pathetic to do themselves. On the other hand, a king would take his young black warriors and train them to control and operate the kingdom's military. But instead of a Kangs building structured militaries to protect their kingdoms and the people in it with the young boys they exploit, they put them in positions where they end up dead or in prison as young as 12 years old. At this age, kings would have had their boys highly educated, centered, decisive, and essentially prepared to take over thrones, not the prison wars.
I want you young black boys and young black men to listen to Big Unc for a second. I watched a judge give my youngest son, 24 years old, 16 years in prison on yesterday. Listen to me, young black man. Listen to me. I watched a judge give my youngest son, 24 years old, 16 years in prison yesterday, and they did it like it was business as usual. Now, I want you to listen to me, young black man, because I'm not talking guilt or innocence. I want you to know that for those of you that have chose this gang banging, drug dealing, hustling, scamming, violent way of life, there's only two options for you, young man. This ends in only one of two ways, and Big Unc wants to be the one to tell you how this ends for you. You either die or you go to prison, young man. Now, death is not pretty. I know you young boys like to play with guns. I'm telling you, death by gunfire is violent, man. You don't want your mama to have to put you in that casket, young man, and she can't leave it open. You don't want your mother to have to bury her child, but that's what you young boys keep gambling with. Now listen, they building a lot of new prisons. They are building a lot of new prisons in the United States of America. You young black men need to know they got somewhere for your ass to go if you keep it up. You keep it up, it only ends in one or two ways for you, young man. That is either you die or you are going to prison. And you know what's in prison? Nothing but a bunch of grown-ass men telling you what to do, telling you when to get up. You like pretty girls? Ain't no pretty girls in prison, homie. Your ops is in prison. That's what's in prison. Your ops. A bunch of testosterone-filled men, and it probably smells like booty, dick, and balls, young man. That's what's in prison. Big Unc is telling y'all, put the guns down and cut the bullshit. Whatever you want out there, you ain't got to rob to get it, young man. You don't have to murder to get it, young man. You don't have to steal to get it, young man. There's a legal way for you to do it. Are you man enough to do it the right way, young man? I watched the judge give my son 16 years yesterday. They got somewhere for you to go, young man. Big coach.
Kangs never have any money when it's time to take care of their responsibilities, such as child support. They'll quit a job before paying their share of the child's expenses. Meanwhile, they'll be on social media flashing wads of money, Gucci belts, Jordans, and bragging about how many bands they placed in a stripper's G-string, all the while their kids are struggling and in need of clothes and shoes.
You know,
how long you think your money gonna last if every day you step out, you got a $2,000-$3,000 outfit on? I'm gonna take the actual thing that I'm working for, the thing that could get me anything that I think I want, the money, the it. I take the money and I give it to somebody else in exchange for goods that say I got the money that I gave them. So it's like the shit we wearing is a receipt. It's a receipt to say I spent the money because I'm wearing this. This is a receipt. The transfer of power, it is wrong. We got it all wrong. We have transferred the power to the person who sold us this brand. You get what I'm saying?
Of course.
We work hard to get the money just to give it away to say we got, oh, I had the money. I had the money.
Many kangs are pimps or traffickers that exploit their women for monetary gain, whereas kings possess dignity and will behead a man for even looking at their women, let alone paying to sex them. Other kangs, such as the passport bros, exploit women by participating in sex tourism for attention. These men believe that traveling across seas to entertain women for sex under the guise of love is an exploitation because the women choose to do it. They fail to recognize that the reasons these women prostitute themselves are because they lack other opportunities, and men have created an industry to profit from sexually exploiting them.
Industry that exploits women anymore.
You took busy time out of your day to make this video. There can't be exploitation if the women are willing participants. Prostitution is legal in Brazil, bruh. Do your research before you make a video like that. Those women down there depend on this money, and not just from the passport bros, but from passport traveling men around the world and women as well. So know what you're talking about. Second of all, many of the passport bros are going down there looking for wives and all over the world looking for wives. Know the movement before you start yik-yakking. And then third, Brazil's got bigger problems than that. Seems like they got a lot of devil worship and occultism going on down there. So talk to them about that and get that fixed and leave us alone, because we don't passport bros.
There are several celebrity kangs that thirst for women packaged in whiteness. These women could have slept with every man in Hollywood or be gold-digging femme fatales, but because she has white skin, she's suitable. Tyrese is notorious for marrying and dating women with white skin that he claims abuse and use him for financial gain. He then goes on tirades against his preference once things don't go his way.
And when you leave them, when you break it off with them, when you cut them off and you leave them cold turkey, you really fuck them up. Studies has shown. I'm like, wow, so studies has shown that you can talk about what you did to me as if you didn't do it to me? That's gaslighting as a mother. I don't think you ever loved me. It's about my ex. It's a song I never wanted to sing. It's a reality that I didn't want to have to live or experience. For everybody in radio that's supporting me, for everybody who has heard me out fully and understand the sensitivities in and around what's actually going on, I never play victim. There's always 2, maybe even 3 sides to every story. If y'all figure out why this woman left me, y'all let me know, because I don't fucking know.
Attorney Benjamin Crump to join me. I'm asking Ambassador Andrew Young, the ex-mayor of Atlanta, and one of my nearest beloved brothers and friends to meet me. I'm asking Martin Luther King III, my brother, to meet me in the courthouse. That's what I want. And I want this man to do exactly what he's there to do on that bench, according to the law.
Also, we're hoping to accomplish shedding light on Samantha Gibson making well over $100,000 a year outside of what I make per year, and the necessary needs of the actual child are beyond met.
All right, I understand. And you're aware that if you pay these amounts and then the Court of Appeals reverses it, you don't get your money back.
I am well aware of it.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
do you want the court to consider you paying it into a bond so that in the event, whatever the court rules, no one is prejudiced?
I would want to know more about what this means as far as a bond, but if I could position myself to show any intentionality to do that, if that's the final outcome, then I'll take care of it. But doing something that is beyond the scope of the law, it feels like punishment. It feels like it's just unnecessary. And if the roles were reversed, I just really feel like I wouldn't be sitting here.
Now, Tyrese makes $2 million annually, and yet is complaining because he's required to pay $636,000 for child support and his ex's lawyer fees. That's less than 5% of his income, study group, and now he's calling on civil rights leaders to help him get out of his responsibilities. This man is the epitome of a kang. He won't admit how dysfunctional and narcissistic he is, especially during his marriage and other relationships, which caused these women to take whatever they could and get the hell out of Dodge.
Why would I recommend dating somebody famous? No. No, I would not. I find that, if a man's in the limelight and it's very rare to find one that's like, I'm going to work for this relationship. This is what I want. And, I'm gung ho about being with one person and we going to make this thing ride out. Like, because they are who they are and you're just one of maybe millions of women that want them, they're going to be like, I don't have to work for you. I don't have to try to make this work. You've got to make this work. You've got to compromise. You've got to reconcile within your mind about what this is, not me.
This woman isn't saying anything new. Most women are familiar with the ridiculous behaviors of kangs, regardless of their net worth. Although Tyrese had his wealth prior to marrying his ex, most kangs will build their means with their wives, and once they've achieved success, they divorce them, attempting to keep all the resources to themselves. What's worse is that other kangs support this treachery.
Every so often, I, as a straight man, am encryptomongled by how little straight men seem to like women. They like sex, maybe, if these folks even get it any. But women? These men not on that. And this Ashraf Hakimi situation exemplifies that so much to me. For those with the privilege of not knowing, Ashraf Hakimi is a footballer whose wife Hiba Abouk is filing for divorce. It's unclear whether her decision to divorce him is in any way attached to allegations that he sexually assaulted a young woman in his home when his family was on vacation. So we're not going to focus on that. Instead, we're going to focus on the fact that tabloids are reporting that Abouk may stand to get nothing in the divorce because Hakimi has placed all of his assets in his mother's name, including his salary at the football club Paris Saint-Germain. Let's ignore the fact that this scheme to complicate the division of assets is so transparent that even tabloids still refer to the assets in Hakimi's mother's name as his assets. Let's ignore the fact that no reputable news agencies have reported on the divorce being concluded as of yet, as far as I can tell. In fact, let's pretend that this is certainly going to work in the exact way that men celebrating it expect, with Abouk getting nothing. Let's focus on what's important. He didn't do this recently upon discovering that he may be getting divorced. By all tabloid accounts, he put his assets in his mother's name from the very beginning. Let's think about what that means. And to do that, let's pretend they aren't getting divorced. Let's say they stayed together with 2 kids, but by some unfortunate incident on the football field, Hakimi passed away. It would mean that his wife and his 2 young children would get nothing. Not even their family home would belong to them, but instead would go to his mother, who could kick them out on the street at a moment's notice. Hiba Abouk's riches notwithstanding, because truthfully, in this circumstance, I'm sure these kids will be alright. It's weird that men think that this is the ideal, deceiving our spouses into thinking we're building lives with them when instead we're ensuring that the people we claim to love will get nothing from us. When I was a teenager, my common-law stepfather passed away of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Despite how brutal and agonizing it was to watch, my mother, his wife from a common-law standpoint, was at his bedside every evening before coming home from work to feed him, clean him, and love him in his final days. And when he passed, she got nothing. Not because he was some vindictive hoarder, but simply because he neglected to change the beneficiary of his insurance to his wife instead of his mother before he passed. There are men today, right now, today, who think that other men should do things like that on purpose. And they claim to love women and want partners with whom they intend to build a home and a life with. Wild.
Overall, Black Kangs are mentally ill, disenfranchised, inferior broken men that, unlike kings, refuse to get themselves out of subjugation. These men have declared war on Black women and children while imitating their white oppressors. Kangs are the if you can't beat them, join them Black men. Therefore, because they couldn't prevent themselves from being colonized, they hate themselves. They went from being the most powerful kings on earth to begging for handouts from genetically inferior men. And when white men provide Black women with funds to build themselves, Kangs protest because in their entitled minds, everything should be given to them. They don't even consider how humiliating it is that another group of men have to provide for their women. Instead, they bitch and moan about other men not giving them handouts. As many Black billionaire Kangs that exist in this country, it doesn't make any sense that non-Black men have to provide to Black women. However, when men have no dignity, women have to fend for themselves. Kangs are weak tyrants, forcing Black women to be kings for the community. While Kangs are falling further and further behind in society, Black women are healing and uniting to change their inferior status and annihilate a reputation of grace. Consequently, Black men are jealous and losing even more control of their patriarchal white imitation as they're fighting against the only women that sadly battle for them. Unfortunately, most Black women worship Black Kangs, not realizing that these men are dangerously broken and in need of mental facilitation to help them cope with being subjugated. There's nothing Black women can do to help these men but continue to be doormats so that these Kangs can feel like the men that they are not. Hater or lover, Cynthia G said it best, you cannot be a king with no kingdom. Alright, study group, so go ahead and leave some comments below. Do you agree with my commentary? How do you differentiate a king from a kang? Do you believe that kangs should be treated like kings despite not having a kingdom? Or do you even care? Let me know your thoughts. Also, if you have any topics that you'd like for me to cover, please send them to blackhistorystudent@gmail.com. This email is listed in the description section below. If you're interested in reading any of the books that I've referenced in this commentary, I've listed them in the description section below. And if you decide to purchase them, please do so using my affiliate links because I do receive a little commission for each sale and you will be supporting the channel by doing so. If you'd like to read the article on this topic, please click on the link in the description section or visit blackhistorystudent.com. Finally, if you haven't done so already, like the video. If you're new, subscribe to the channel, and if you love the video, share it. Until next time, bye study group!